Welcome to the Women's Motorsport Network Let's Talk Racing podcast with hosts Melinda Russell and Brett Timmerman. Brought to you by Highline Raceway. Now here they are. Let's talk racing.
Well, hello everybody. That was awesome, Brett. Woo! So that's our new intro, and Brett recorded it and did all the work behind the scenes, and then I had to figure out how to get it to play on StreamYard, which I figured that out finally. It took me a little bit. And so that's awesome. I love it. So welcome to Let's Talk Racing. There's my co-host, Brett Timmerman, and I'm Melinda Russell, and we are sponsored by the International Women's Motorsports Association and the Women's Motorsports Network. So tonight, our guests are Jordan Druschke and Kynlie Smith, and we are going to welcome them to the show, and we're going to first ask you girls to tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you live, how old you are, just anything. Do you have pets? Do you have siblings? You know, things like that, so we can get to know you better. So Jordan, we're going to start with you. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm 14. I live in Elgin, Oklahoma. I live with my parents, my two brothers. I have 2 cats and 1 dog.
Okay. And what about you, Kynlie?
I'm Kynlie Smith. I'm 14 years old. I live in Lubbock, Texas. I live with my parents, my younger sister. I have a cat and 2 dogs.
Okay. Awesome. And there's Brett Timmerman hanging out. What about you, Brett? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm Brett Timmerman. Actually, we've never done an intro on us, so
No, we haven't.
So I'm from Wapello, Iowa. We race English Creek Speedway, which is over by Knoxville, Iowa. Most of you know where Knoxville, Iowa is if you're a dirt track fan. But I got hooked up with Melinda through my daughter, Adriana. She races. She's 16. She's raced for 3 years. We did a lot of racing last year. Became pretty popular, but I hooked up with Melinda, got an article with Adriana in her magazine, and it just grew from there, and we became like family. So, yeah, if anybody has any questions for me, you can message me how to join the Women's Motorsports Network, because it's a very good cause for women.
Awesome. So if you don't know anything about me, I'm married to my husband, Mark. I live in Kalamazoo, Michigan, 6 months of the year, and I live in Surprise, Arizona in an RV resort the other 6 months. And I have 15 grandchildren ranging from age 26 to 18 months. And my 2 granddaughters race, and we love racing in our family. So that's kind of why we're doing this. We are celebrating and connecting women in motorsports, and that's why you girls are on the podcast. So, Brett, why don't you tell the people how we came to know Jordan and Kynlie and why they're on the podcast?
Yeah, so a month ago, well, it's been probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I decided to do a contest, see who could get the most likes, racing pages or pictures. And these 2 young ladies were back out neck to neck, pretty much the whole contest, and ended up being Jordan. You ended up winning it, and right, you won, right, Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
I thought so. I don't want to get it confused. And then, as a kind gesture, since you and Kynlie are good friends, you decided to make it a team effort of being the winner. So you both were winners, but Jordan actually got the most likes, and I think it was up in the 500s. They both were in the 500s. It was pretty close. It was fun watching it. These 2 girls are friends on and off the track, and we're going to get to know them a little better here in this podcast.
Awesome. So if you look at our Facebook page, they're on the banner picture of our Facebook page, because they're the June photo winners. And then you get to be on the podcast when you win that. So that's why you're here. So Jordan, why don't you start by telling us first how you got interested in racing, what kind of car you race, all those kind of things. And then Kynlie, when she's done, you just take it away and tell us about yourself.
Okay.
So how I started is I was invited to a birthday party at a go-kart track in Lawton, and I was actually too short to go on the go-kart track at first, but the owner was very kind, and he let me go after everyone else, and he was actually very impressed by how I went around on it. So he showed me some actual go-karts, and that's when I got inspired to start racing. So I started racing there in his dirt, started racing Shawnee and a whole bunch of other places here. And right now I'm actually driving a Outlaw Motorsport kart. Outlaw 250, actually. But yeah.
So has anybody in your family raced?
My brother started, but it just wasn't his thing. He did one race. He called it quits. Pretty funny, actually.
Go ahead,
So-
Bray. Did you have a question?
No, you actually asked the exact same thing I was going to.
Okay. All right. Okay, Kynlie?
So my dad has raced something since he was 4 years old. And when I was born, I went to my first race. He took me to my first race when I was 6 months old. And so I have been around the racing environment pretty much my whole life. And I tried it for a little bit when I was 4. Didn't really get a feel for it then. Then I kept going to races with my dad, even though I wasn't racing. And by the time I was 10, decided this is what I love to do, and got back into racing. Have been racing ever since.
Okay, so what kind of car do you race?
I have this one over here, and that's an Outlaw 250. And then this one, we're getting ready for next year, which will be a 305 sprint car.
Okay. All right, sounds good. What's your favorite thing about racing, Jordan?
I think it's mainly just because it's different. It's something that I never actually thought I would do until I was shown it, and I decided to do it. But I think I mainly like it just because it's a bit different from a lot of other things.
Okay.
I would have to say, like, once you strap that helmet on, like, really, you're focused on the track, and that's like the best time of your life when you're out there. Like, you're zoned in and you're focused, but you're having so much fun while you're doing it.
So what's it like, Kynlie and Jordan? What's it like racing when you guys race against each other? When you're both pretty fast, so I'm sure you get to race against each other a lot. What's it like when you guys are next to each other on the track?
It's pretty fun, but I make sure that I don't do anything that would be very reckless. But it's pretty fun racing against Kynlie.
I would have to say the same thing. It's really fun getting to be side by side with her, especially because we're so close off the track. I try to race her clean, and I mean, of course, you want to win.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very competitive, even though we are friends. But you always want to race everybody clean.
What do you? So when one of you passes, so Jordan, when Kynlie passes you, what do you say to yourself?
I try and focus more on getting my line right, because mainly most of the time when people pass me, it's because I get a little iffy and I mess up on my line. So I try to focus more on my line, and then I work on passing her the cleanest way I can.
What about you, Kynlie?
I mean, it goes for really everybody who passes me, but you get more determined. You get more determined than you would if you were in the front of the pack, and it makes you drive harder and faster.
So, Kynlie, you were talking about your how you got into racing and your dad races. Does your dad still race?
He raced his last race this past January.
Did he give it up for you?
Then he sold his cars, and that was his last race.
Did he quit racing just to focus more on your racing?
Yes, he he loves watching me race and working on my cars and being there with me. And so that's pretty much the main reason he got out.
What class did he race?
He's raced a lot of things, but this past 11 years, he's been racing 500 Open Outlaws.
Okay.
So I'm curious, how did you girls get to be such good friends when you don't live that close together?
I honestly don't know how it happened, but we became really close.
I think our dad started talking, and then eventually we started talking, and we've just been really good friends.
I do remember how it happened now. We'll actually be at this track this Saturday, but we were at Texoma in Wichita Falls, and our dads started talking, and they got each other's numbers, and they started talking, and that just got me and Jordan really close.
Yeah.
So how many times in like the season do you race each other? Like once a month or more than that? Or you travel the same circuit? Is that how you got to be such good friends?
Yeah, it depends on every track. It depending on every track is how many times we get to meet at a certain point. Like if we were to go to Shawnee for the Indo Series, we usually see each other every race, unless I can't go or she can't go.
That Shawnee series, me and her will see each other once a month and sometimes twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
And through the summer, it really just depends because there's a lot of different tracks racing on the same weekend. And so it really just depends on which track the other one goes to. Like I said, this weekend, we'll both be in Wichita Falls racing. Mm-hmm. So we'll both see each other, race each other then.
Yeah.
So do you like kind of talk to each other and be like, I'm going here, and so then the other one tries to go there, or you just kind of make up your schedule and hope that your paths cross more often than not?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
So there's some times where we manage to, our schedules meet and we meet at the same track and then we race each other. But there's times where she's at a different track racing and I'm on a different track racing that same weekend. So it just depends on schedule, I guess.
Okay.
Kynlie, are you going to still race your outlaw cart when you get into a sprint car?
When I get into my sprint car next summer, that'll be the main focus throughout the summer. But through the winter, just to keep me warm in my seat, then we'll keep racing the outlaw cart, just so I stay warm and I'm still racing through the winter.
Where will you race your sprint car?
The first season, we're going to stay local at our Lubbock track and the Amarillo track.
Must be a big rush to know you're getting in a sprint car next year.
It is. This is what I've dreamed about since I was 4 years old.
Jordan, what's your next move?
Well, I'm gonna try and do about the same thing as her. Whenever my dad gets back from his deployment, I'm gonna go up to a 500, and then I think he's also gonna get me a micro or sprint car, and then I'm gonna kind of do what Kynlie's doing now.
So where is your dad deployed?
He's not deployed yet.
Oh, okay. But he's going somewhere.
Yeah, he's gonna go over to the Middle East.
Okay, and how long will he be gone?
About a year.
Wow. That's going to be hard, isn't it?
Just a little, but we got friends who will help us throughout the year.
Yeah. But not seeing dad for a year. Brett, how's that, with leaving your family for a year? That takes some special kinds of people.
It does. I get teary-eyed just listening, thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, you tell your dad we're going to be praying for him, and we thank him for what he's doing for us, and so we'll stay connected, and we'll be supporting you as much as we can while he's gone too. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So how do the boys treat you? I know you girls are pretty successful. Do you have any issues with the boys on the track?
Not really. It's a pretty fair fight against them most of the time. But I just remember there's this one really good race where I decided to go in the non-wing for tramps, and I mean, I showed them that I was more than just a girl racing out there, and they all came to my trailer that day and said how well of a job I did. It was amazing.
Yeah. So that was good. They supported you. They weren't
Hmm.
trying to wreck you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kynlie, what about you?
I've had some guys be really supportive of me, and like when you're on the track, you don't really take into account who you're racing against, so everybody kind of beats and bangs on each other.
Yeah.
And you don't really know who. It's just racing. But then I've had a couple snarky comments after like Summer Kart Nationals in July of 2021. I won a huge race there, and it was only like my 7th race in a 250. So it was a really big deal. And I got told by a guy who wasn't having such a great night that I got lucky that I won that race. I was lucky that he wasn't up there to start with me.
Okay. So hopefully you get to race him again.
Oh, I have. He's moved up to the 500s now.
Okay.
But I mean, everybody's really supportive of each other other than a fewer times.
Yeah. So K-Dub is one of my followers, and we did a podcast with her. She's amazing. She's involved in the speedboat racing world, but she wants to know, what speed will you go in your sprint car?
Around the Lubbock track, most of the 305 sprints vary at about 100.
Wow. Okay. That's exciting and scary at the same time. Because it doesn't seem like when I look at those sprint cars, it just seems like there's like nothing to them. And if I see them roll a lot. And so it's like, gosh, it just seems like you're just like out there. And yet my granddaughters race, in like outlaw late models or street stocks, and they're big, heavy cars, and they hardly ever roll over. So I don't know. That's amazing that you do that. K-Dub says, wow. And I echo that for sure.
I don't know if you'll, I've never ran a sprint car. That's always been my dream. But then Adriana decided she was going to race, so she's going to live the dream of driving a sprint car eventually. But I don't know. I've raced an outlaw cart, and they feel like you're going 100 mile an hour because you're so low to the ground. So I don't know if you're going to notice if it's going to feel different. You'll notice the horsepower difference, but as far as the speed, it's going to look about the same, I would think.
Yeah, with a sprint car, I mean, my dad's had an opportunity to race a sprint car once, and it's really different because in like the outlaw carts, they're so like spastic, and like you have to be on a dime. Like you have to know what you're doing in fast reactions. In a sprint car, you have the suspension, it's bigger, so I don't know how it'll feel, but I mean, I'm hoping it'll feel pretty much the same, if not faster.
Have you ever raced a micro sprint or anything? Are you going straight?
I haven't.
So you're going straight from a 250 to a sprint car?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So Kato says, tell us one of your most memorable trophy or wins that you've had. So Jordan, tell us yours.
I would have to say my most memorable to this day is still my first win on dirt down in Shawnee. That's one of the main tracks that I started at too. I went down there, and that was actually the night that I changed my number from 13 to 1J. And as soon as I changed my number, I was able to win. It was amazing that night. It felt so great to actually win for once.
So why did you change your number?
13 was not working.
No, I wouldn't want that number either.
Yeah. I've heard that 13 and green on a go-kart track isn't the best.
No.
So
no.
When I raced, I was in stock cars at the time. We had all colors, every color. In the 20 years I raced, we had a lot of colors of cars. And we decided one year we were going to switch to green because everybody's superstition said green is bad luck. Well, all my cars are bad luck. So I switched to green and got my first one. So sometimes colors and numbers do help.
Yeah.
I think it varies on person actually. Maybe it's just the person that it doesn't work with.
Yeah. So Kynlie, what about you? You just said you had a big win, but what's your most memorable one?
I'd probably say that was probably my most memorable one. I had a lot of support there with me that night. And it was only my 6th or 7th race in a 250, and I took a clean sweep and won both my heats and the main. So it was a pretty memorable night.
Yeah, for sure.
So while we're talking about wins, you take that checker flag, you're rolling into victory lane, everybody's there cheering. What kind of thoughts go through your head as you guys are rolling into victory lane?
Mine are mainly that I did a really good job on the track that night. I was able to stay focused, and I honestly just get really happy whenever I win because it's very competitive on the track. So if you're able to win on the track, it's a pretty good thing.
Yeah. I'd probably have to say it's wow, I just did that. Against these cars and on this track, I just did that. And kind of just, it's a replay of that whole race is what's going on.
Yeah, you even though you win, you still think, what could I have done different, or what did I do here? I mean, it's always a replay in your head. I've been there, and Adriana has said the same thing. You're constantly thinking, I need to be faster, even though you were just whipped everybody. But winning. I remember when I won. My most favorite thing in winning is all my fans and pit crew coming up to me and hugging me and high fiving, and just makes the driver feel good, don't it?
It really does.
Yeah. So, do you have any superstitions or any routines that you do on race day? Like, do you always wear certain socks, or you eat the same thing, or anything like that, Jordan?
The only thing that I do is me and my dad say a little prayer before every race. That's all we really do. Yeah.
Okay.
Same here. Me and my dad always say prayers before I get in my car. And I will no longer wear rings when I race.
There's a story. Tell us.
There's a story. So a couple years ago at Shawnee, I was having a rough season, and I had somebody come up and tell me hey, don't wear your rings, bad luck. So I took them off, and I went out there for my B main and won it by half a straightaway. So I will no longer wear rings when I race.
There's a lot of superstitions. I got friends that won't eat chicken on race day.
Yeah, I stopped eating chicken.
Go-to meal is chicken tenders.
Every racetrack has chicken tenders. Come on. He probably eats a hot dog instead or something. Yeah, for sure. So what about your goals, Jordan? You're 14. Let's talk about life goals. Do you know what you want to do when you get out of high school? And what are your racing goals?
My racing goals, I don't really know yet, but I know I want to get as far as I can in racing and always do my best. And then out of school and stuff, I still haven't really thought about that, but I have really gotten into thinking about graphic design and all of that. Maybe a tattoo artist or something. Haven't really decided yet. It's been everywhere for me.
Okay.
So I have all 4 years left of high school still, but when I get out of high school, I want to be professionally on the road with my racing, and I want to do college on the road because I want to go to college to get my mechanical engineering degree.
That's awesome.
And nowadays, there's so many things that you can do virtually. COVID taught us a lot. There was a lot of bad that came with COVID, but we learned a lot of other things too. We learned that you don't necessarily have to be at a college in a classroom to learn for, a college degree or a skill. Now, at some point, maybe there's some internships or something that you have to do for hands-on, but there's so many things that you can do now from your home, from the road, from the racetrack, that you're able to do all those things. And so, that's awesome. That's a good goal to have and a good plan to have for sure.
And I want, like, my racing goal, I want to be in a 410 sprint car with the World of Outlaws and racing professionally.
I would love to see that. There are no women out there. What is the deal?
We have heard that a lot, and if all these younger girls that we've talked to, Adriana, one of them, if they all move into the 410 World of Outlaws, how awesome would that be to see a bunch of women spanking them boys and taking the win?
Yeah, absolutely. So K-Dub says, if I wanted to start racing, what class should I look at for a beginner class? Any tips for a new driver? Jordan?
There's some tracks where it depends on where you're starting, like age-wise and stuff. Like if you wanted to start in maybe like a 250, like my friend wants to, it's a little. You want to be really careful about that, just because there are some racers out there that like to beat and bang on people who don't really know what they're doing. So it really depends on what class and what age you're starting at that you want to do. But the tips for new drivers, you want to stay calm and really focus on what you're doing and find out how to pass someone in the cleanest way possible. Because if you just go and beat them out of the way, it doesn't look that well, and there's consequences to that too. So just want to be really careful with what you do.
Okay.
Like Jordan said, it's age on where you start. Like, say if you were a 5-year-old, you'd want to start in the young guns class. But if you were 12 to 14, you might want to start in the junior 3, maybe the 250s, depending on how much experience you have. But like Jordan's, like, safety, focus like on safety out there and staying focused and calm and being like just learning to be as clean as you possibly can.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You both said, try to stay calm. So have you ever had an occasion where you didn't stay calm and that's why that that's important? Or did you ever have like anything happen? Like, have you ever rolled over? Has anything like kind of scary ever happened to either one of you?
So most of the time when I'm not calm and I don't have my focus, my line starts to kind of get out of place and it starts going everywhere. But yeah, that's why I mainly want to stay calm during the race. Because if I go out, like whenever I do, like my line starts going all winky. It's whenever I'm not focused and I'm starting to overdrive. That's when my line gets all freaky and out of place and everywhere. So that's how I know that I need to stay calm. And I rolled last weekend.
You rolled last weekend. So did somebody run into you that caused you to roll? Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah. I was going into the corner and I don't know what they were doing, but they kind of just full force went into me and I went into the wall and rolled.
And
I didn't really know what happened because I closed my helmet and I kind of just had my hands right there.
Just close your eyes. Yeah. I hear, it's funny, NASCAR drivers say the same thing, that when they're starting to wreck, a lot of them close their eyes, So I don't know if I'd close my eyes. I think I want to see what's happening, but maybe not. Maybe it might be a natural reaction to close your eyes. Yeah. I love the racing term. I haven't heard this racing term before, but maybe it's a dirt term. Winky. Your line goes winky.
I feel like I just said that.
I love that. I love that. That's so cute. I love it. So, Kynlie, what about you?
Yeah, when you start to panic and get freaked out on the track, then you start making a lot of errors that you could have prevented if you just stayed calm. And like, I have had a couple of rollovers. I actually had one at English Creek and I just had nowhere to go. Like I had 2 cars on either side of me, and somebody wrecked right in front of me, and I had nowhere to go. So I knocked him and got rolled.
When that happens.
Yeah.
And then I had one at Cam Cartway in Rome, Texas, where again I just had nowhere to go and got hit.
Happens
and
a lot of cams.
rolled over.
Weird.
A lot
That's
of people-
always how you get in a wreck, cam.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So K-Dub says, at an average rate, is it 1 or 2 days of racing? And do you have to qualify for lane and starting positions?
So, average race, it depends on what track you go to again. Like, if I was to go to, let's say, like Texoma or Cam, there's the average. It's only a 1-day track race on like Saturday or Friday, but then there is days where there's like special events where it's like a 2-day show on the weekend. But yeah, that's the average. The qualify. It depends on how many carts there is actually, and then on the starting positions. On heats, it's where you draw, and then in features, it depends on how you finish and what they do in the heats. Like if let's say you started 4th in your heat and you go up to 3rd, but they're doing passing points. So then it would depend on how everyone else did, and that's where you would start. And then
Okay.
yeah.
So Kynlie,
Yeah.
that's kind of confusing when you're not a dirt person.
So like she said, there's local races where it's normally just a 1-day, like just night deal. And then like you have a big race and it's 2 days where you do both heats on 1 day and the main events on the second day. Or there's like races like Shawnee where it's 2 days but 2 separate races.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of depends on where you go, on how many days and how the race is going to be formatted.
Okay.
And then so our qualifying, we get there, when we register our car, we have to draw a number. And when we draw a number, they put us in order on how all the other drivers in your class draw. And that's where you start the heats at. And then like she said, if you do passing points, which is how many cars you pass within the race, then that's how they're going off of, and they'll see how many cars each people passed, or if they lost positions,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how they'll line you up. And if they're not and they do finishing points, it's where you finish in the race, and that's how you'll line up.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have enough cars, they'll take so many to the A main lined up how they need to be, and they'll make a B main.
It's usually 12 that they take from the heats. When there's no B, it's usually they take 12 that
12 to
automatically
16
qualify.
somewhere there.
And then, usually with the Bs, depending on how many there are, usually it's either top 2, or if there's only 1 B, it's usually top 4. No, they take 8 from the main heats, and then they get those other 4 from the other Bs.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. That's similar to some asphalt racing that I'm more familiar with. So yeah, I get that part of it. So, okay. So have you ever raced under the lights? And do you prefer daytime racing or under the lights?
We mainly race at night because the track owners usually don't want all the kids to overheat in the sun. So we usually wait until it's really it's not too hot outside to race, which is usually sunset kind of deal. So we usually race under the lights, and definitely prefer under the lights because then when you're entering a corner, there's not a sun blaring in your eyes. You can actually see where you're going.
I've raced in both, because there's been we got rained out one night, and so we had to start the next morning, and everybody else had to be at the big kart track, so we had to get the go-kart track finished. So we had to race during the day, and most track owners, like Jordan said, don't like doing that because if it's a summer race, there's a lot of heat exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of those times. It was really hot, but we had to race during the day because we had to get finished. And
Okay.
and like I prefer racing at night because it's cooler and you can see better. But if we do have to race during the day, they make tinted visors that I wear, so the sun's not directly glaring at my eyes.
Okay.
It's a lot easier as a track promoter too to race under the lights because on dirt track, when you race during the day, the water likes to just absorb up and you get a really slick and dusty track. But if you race at night, the track will hold the moisture a lot better. So promoters like it for that reason too.
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy is driving me nuts. I'm sorry if
I noticed. I have one too, and I'm outside. But anyway, that's the way it goes. So, Brett, what else do we need to ask these girls? I feel like we've asked them a lot.
Well, I got. Do you guys ever? You guys talk smack to each other when you're like, who's going to be faster before you get to the track? Whatever. Who's the most smack talk?
Probably me.
Probably Kynlie.
Probably me. We
Yeah.
both do it, but probably me.
Yeah.
It's all in good.
It's
It's cool to have fun like that. So,
How do your moms feel about you racing?
Oh, mine supports it, but she doesn't really like going out because if I flip, it's like she's gonna get a heart attack instantly. But she supports it, and she's amazing.
Okay.
My mom supports me too, and I have a younger sister who has really sensitive ears, and so it's harder because she doesn't like the loud noises, and she's 6, so she's all over the place. So it's kind of hard for my mom to wrangle her up.
Mm-hmm.
And again, my mom would probably get a heart attack if I flipped.
what?
The same with my mom.
But she fully supports me and loves that I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
What's mom's thoughts about the sprint car?
She supports my dreams, but it makes her a little nervous. She thinks we're a little crazy.
Well, I'd like to see you in the world of outlaws, but I'm not your mom. But we need some women in there, and so some of you gals got to take charge and get up there and start racing. So anyway,
I don't understand why there isn't. There's plenty of
I don't
women.
either.
I don't understand why there isn't any that have, like, McKenna Massey. She should be in the world of outlaws. Nobody's
really. So we are friends with McKenna, and we've known her since she was little, and I looked up to her in her sprint car when I was younger, and that's really what made me like dream of being in a sprint car one day. And I love to watch sprint cars, and she's one of the ones that made me want to be in one.
Yeah, McKenna does a lot for racing around, around English Creek.
Yeah.
She's an amazing woman. She does a lot for a lot of the young kids. But she said, we had a deal in Pella, Iowa, which is close to English Creek, a couple weeks ago, and they interviewed McKenna and they asked her about why she isn't in the world of outlaws, and she said she cannot get the funding like the other drivers get to be in there, which it blows my mind because she has what it takes. She does all the right things. And I asked her about it, and she said, when she's just going to follow God's plan, and God wants her to be in a sprint car with the World of Outlaws, that's what she need one of these days. So,
yeah. And, honestly, if some company would endorse somebody like McKenna, they would be so popular because there's so many girls that are wanting to do that are in the lower classes that look up to her and would follow her. And if they, let's say it was some kind of hair product for women, you're all going to go out and buy it because they're on McKenna's car.
yep.
They just don't get it. And so that's tough for sure. So K-Dub's, she's in the American Powerboat Racing, and they collect points to be a national champion. She says, do you, like the series you're in or anything, do you collect points, and is there a national high point winner? Either
You
no.
guys race?
I don't think there's not a national high point winner, but in like the little series, like the Shawnee series, we raced for points. Through the whole season, we raced for points.
Okay.
And like the series is throughout the year, we'll race for points.
Okay. Yeah. So each track kind of has their own thing that they do then. Or yeah. Okay. So now I don't know who this is because it's in language I don't understand.
I don't understand it either.
But whoever it is says, do either of you have someone, famous or not, that you view as a hero?
I do. The person who asked is Baldry.
Okay, so how do you know who that is?
Hi, Chuck. Anyway, but the person that I kind of got, I already forgot the question. But someone that I kind of idolize is one of my friends from the track, Emily Lowry. I looked up to her for a good while. I still do. And I've always looked up to her.
Okay.
Somebody I've always looked up to is my dad. I have grown up watching him race, and he's always been there to support me and help me, and I've always really looked up to him.
That's good answers on both parts. And Valerie Wilson says, I love that you two support each other. And that's so important because I love seeing girls, well, it could be girls or guys, it doesn't matter. I love seeing the competition on the track and the friendships off the track. And you girls are going to be friends probably the rest of your lives, even if you don't race against each other, or if one of you quits and the other one doesn't. It doesn't matter. You've developed a friendship during a time of your life that you're probably going to continue no matter where you end up or what you end up doing. And that's the thing about racing that we love is the friendships we make and the people that we meet.
Racing will create a lot of friendships.
It does.
It does.
Yeah. And a lot of support from people that you probably don't even know. So we were talking about McKenna. I first became aware of McKenna when I was really getting into racing back in like 2016 or 17, somewhere in that area. And she was in a really bad wreck. I don't remember what year it was. But anyway, I have a greeting card business that I do too. And so I had read about her accident and I sent her a card with a teddy bear and just told her, I love seeing girls in racing and I hope she got better. And, and so my granddaughters at the time were racing quarter midgets. And after everything she'd been through, she wrote me the nicest note and sent me some t-shirts and stuff for my granddaughters. And I've just followed her and, kept track of her and stuff ever since, just because of that. And that's what's going to happen now with you girls. Brett and I have started following you. You've been on our Facebook page. And when we interview people, we say that they've become part of our family. And so we always say, what do we say, Brett?
Yeah, welcome to the family, girls.
Welcome to the family. So, yeah, that's just, that's just who you are. And I saw Kynlie race last year at English Creek. That's where I met you. And Jordan, if you're there or you're at a racetrack or I'm at sometime, I love watching girls race. That's how I got to be such good friends with Brett and Adriana and Aaron and Drake. They're like my family now because I went a couple times and watched Adriana race and hung out with them. And so that's my goal, is to meet all the girls that I interview and watch them race at some point. Do you know Trish and Steve Gordon? Either one of you? Okay. It says, are there any specific racers you hope to race against at the track?
I don't have any specific racers that I want to race against.
Okay. How about you, Kynlie?
Not really. you just want the most people there you can get because you want a lot of competition to race with, but it's never really somebody specific you want to get to race against.
Okay. And are there a lot of other girls, like when you go to the Shawnee, I think you said, or different tracks, are there a lot of other girls there, or are you two kind of the minority?
There's quite a few.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like the guys outpower us, but there's quite a few that race.
Okay.
There's usually a new one every couple or so races.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always someone new.
All right. Well, you're going to have to tell them about Women's Motorsports Network and the International Women's Motorsports Association. We're going to have to get you some stuff to hand out when you go to the races so you can be ambassadors for us. How's that?
I can do that.
Yeah, awesome. So, Brett, any other questions for the girls?
Yeah, are you guys both coming to English Creek Nationals this year?
I'm going in August.
Okay, then I'll get to see you because I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll make sure we come find you guys and we'll get a picture.
Yeah. Last year we did the picture with all the girls. Remember, we had 15 or more girls.
There's probably 30 some girls there. So.
Yeah, there was a lot. I don't know. There was a lot. So we'll do that again because there's going to be probably more this year than even there was last year. That was so fun to go there and watch all those kids race. That I absolutely loved it. So, yeah, that's good. Well, then, she's got the fly that you had.
I shoot it through the string.
There you go. Jordan, look out. It'll be at your house next. So,
anyway. Oh, there's already one. I don't know where it went.
Yeah, we've all got them. So, well, I don't have any other questions unless you do, Brett.
No, I think we covered a lot of stuff today. And, we look forward to watching your girls' future. And,
Whoa.
We've seen your success. It's pretty awesome. Tell Dad to be quiet back there.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
Something fell. Well, girls, we appreciate your time. We appreciate that you took part in our photo contest. That was awesome. We love having your pictures on the banner page for Women's Motorsports Network because you embody what we're all about. We're about women in racing. We're about following your dreams to be a race car driver and be involved with racing. And it's such a family sport, and that's what we are now. We're family. So we just appreciate you following us, taking time to share what you do, and then to be on the podcast tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Any last words from either one of you? How about your sponsors? We didn't get the sponsors listed.
Yep.
Jordan, go ahead.
I'd like to thank my sponsors. Berkeley Racing Unlimited, Tanray Digital Graphics, Car Curve Lawton, Kynlie Trucking, Hammerling Diesel Service, A+ Auto Repair, Rush Race Gear, Nerf Race Engines, and Rock Chassis.
Awesome. Kynlie?
I'd like to thank TSS Motorsports, Max Force Industrial Tooling, 86 Detail, High Plains Building Division, Infinity Energy Service, and King, BR Motorsports, and Raider Graphics.
Okay. We can't do it without them, can we? We need all those people supporting you and helping you to get you to the track every time you want to race. So you're amazing young women. I'm proud to say that I know you and I'm following you and that we could have you on here with us. And Valerie says, ladies, you rock. Wish you good luck in your future. And that's what Brett and I say too. We want you to have a successful season and we're going to be following you. So Jordan, how can somebody keep track of where you're going to be and your racing results?
My Facebook at Jordan Druschke Racing.
Okay. And Kynlie?
So my Facebook with Kynlie Smith 10K Racing.
Okay. All right. So everybody out there, follow these young gals and give them some support, give them encouragement. And we want to see them at the World of Outlaws. Wouldn't that be awesome, Brett, if we went to a World of Outlaws race at Knoxville and these two girls were racing each other?
That'd be, like I said, just to see any woman in the World of Outlaws would be awesome, but especially somebody that's part of our family now.
Absolutely. So come on, girls, get up there. We want to see you racing there one day. So
I do got one more question. I think I asked Jordan, Kynlie, are you racing at 81? part way?
No, we're gonna be on vacation.
Oh, you are. So we're gonna make the 10-hour drive there. Like we're leaving Wednesday night. So I was hoping to see both of you, but I guess we're just gonna have to come let Jordan put the whoop on us.
Yeah, we'll be in San Antonio.
That's all right. Everybody needs a break and needs a vacation, so it's okay. You can do that. All right. Well, girls, thank you again so much. Appreciate your time and appreciate that your parents. I know it's a sacrifice for parents, time, money, all those things to have you girls on the racetrack, and so we don't take that for granted. We know that it takes everybody, and so make sure you tell them we appreciate them too, and we'll be following along, watching what you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, girls. Thanks.
Thank you. See you guys.
Oh man, every week I think, wow, last week was awesome, and then we have other young women that are just as awesome, and there's just more and more and more out there. We just untapped resource of talented, smart, beautiful young girls who love racing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if it's just because of the Women's Motorsports Network or what, but man, there are so many women in the racing world that are unnoticed. I mean,
yeah,
you don't realize it till you start following all these pages that involve women, and it's like, holy smokes! I thought we were getting into a rare deal here, and it's starting to be a big. Women are taking over.
It's funny because in 2017, when I was looking to connect with other women in motorsports and I was looking for a Facebook page, there was nothing. And I was looking then, Googled like Association for Women in Motorsports, and there was nothing. And so that's how this all came about. And I just thought, I knew there was a lot of women in racing, but I had no idea, even in 2017, how many women were in racing. And it really hit me the day that I went to US 131 Motorsports Park, which is in Martin, Michigan, just up the road from me, not very far. And because, I go to circle track races here locally, and there's a few women, a handful, 5 or less. But when I went to the drag strip event they had, the little girls in junior dragsters just blew me away. There was more girls than boys in junior dragsters. And then in the other kinds of, it kind of started to slow down. There weren't as many as you got to the bigger classes. But I was like, wow, I had no idea there were this many. And then I started reaching out, and I reached out to this track and to that track. Do you have any women that race there? I'd like to do a story about them. And now I can't even keep up. I cannot keep up on social media, on my email. I get requests and people every day, hey, my daughter races, my nephew or my niece races, whatever. And it's like, it's exploding.
It is big time.
It's exploding. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you what my week was like, and then you're going to tell us about your week, and then we're going to say goodnight.
All right.
So I have countertop, I have backsplash, and we emptied 3 storage units over the weekend. So the inside of our to be soon house is a disaster. It's full of tubs, which are full of dishes and racing memorabilia and all kinds of other stuff. Mark got both of his sheds emptied, storage units emptied, and the garage is a disaster. But we're hoping to have an occupancy permit by Friday. So that's exciting. And we've had a good week. I picked up 2 of my Arizona grandkids today. They're going to be here for a week. And we're going to be busy. We're going to have a good week. And finally, I think we're going to get moved into our house. So
that's awesome. I know you're a couple months behind what your move-in was, but
yeah,
once you're in, it's going to feel really good, I'm sure.
It is. So how about you guys?
Well, so normal end of the show deal. We talked about my kids racing. Adriana had a pretty good overall night. We raced English Creek. we've been fighting a setup. Come to find out, we learned a few tricks. I talked to the guy that built the cart. He was there, and he told me that I needed to change my axle because the axle I ran was aluminum, and he said, change it to steel. I'm going to tell you that's going to make a difference. And I didn't believe him, but we rushed and changed the whole rear end. I didn't have one ready. We changed everything, got down to the wire for that, and changed a few other things. And Adriana went out in the feature and looked like a totally different cart just from changing that rear axle. And she came out of the cart smiling. She got third. The two guys in front of us, we always call it we get out moneyed because we don't have a lot of money in our motor, because it don't make sense to me to put a lot of money in a go-kart motor when you don't get paid for winning or anything. So, there's guys that have $12,000 in a motor, and we have $5,000 in a motor. So we just got outmotored, but she was happy, smiling, which is what all we want is just come out of the cart smiling. We don't care where you finish as long as you're having fun.
Exactly.
So it was a good night for Adriana. And then Drake, he's just there. He just shows up to race because we're at the racetrack. He likes bass fishing more than anything, so he focuses on that. But he ended up getting like 17th, but he gets out smiling every time. We try to make him faster, but he don't want to put a lot of money into it. He just he has fun just racing. He don't care. He could race for last place and he's smiling. So all in all, it was a good weekend. This week we race English Creek again on Friday night. And our plan is of now to go to Oklahoma to 81 Cartway. They're having a big money race. He's expecting 20 to 25 250 carts in Adriana's class and over 50 in the 500 class. So this is going to be the most carts we've raced against in Adriana's class.
Yeah.
And,
but that'll be fun, and it'll be something different for her, and maybe open her eyes a little bit to what other racers are doing and where she fits into that. So that's good.
Yeah, it's a long drive, but we're not going to learn what it's like to be a gypsy on the road of racing if we don't just do it. So
yeah,
we're very fortunate that we have a lot of friends and family. I started a raffle just to try to get some money to go, and people are chipping in and helping out. So it's awesome. We wouldn't be able to do it without any of them people, because I don't work. My bills are paid by my job. I don't, racing is paid through side hobbies or side jobs. And so it's nice to get help from people that support it. A lot of haters out there that don't support it, but I mean, and I seen a comment, somebody said, nice Rowdy Energy shirt, but Rowdy Energy is where it's at. So make sure you check them out.
And you know what? Let's make something clear. He's not a sponsor.
Nope.
We both buy and drink Rowdy Energy drinks because we like them, and that's why you don't get a dime from them.
No, yeah, we have Rowdy Energy on the cart. I tag Rowdy Energy and everything. I've talked to Kyle and Samantha about Rowdy Energy. We've had a couple meetings. He's just not ready to sponsor somebody in that lower level yet, but we're working on it. But we don't care if he sponsors us. I told him, I said, I don't care about your money. We like your product, so we're going to push your product. So we'll keep pushing it as long as he lets us. He lets us run his logo, and he's happy that we do it. So, I'm going to push as much as I can. If she gets picked up, it worked. If she doesn't, we'll still drink Rowdy Energy.
Exactly. And, I've thought about that too, like different things. We need sponsors for what we're doing. Nothing that I do is free either. And yet there's times that it's like, just like Rowdy Energy, I don't get anything for that either, other than I have made friends with them, which means the world to me, especially with Samantha. But the fact is that I'm going to start pushing more of the products that I like and use, whether they are sponsors or not, because that's just what I want to do. And I think that's just a different attitude about sponsorship. It's like, I'm not putting it out there in hopes that they sponsor me. I'm putting it out there because it's what I really like and what I use.
Yep.
And so, and that's what you're doing.
When you like something, you share it, you want people to enjoy what you're enjoying. So
exactly. So, well, Brett, it's been another good live show. I love doing these live shows. These are so fun. You just never know what the girls are going to say. And we've just met some amazing people, and our family is growing.
yeah, we're running out of family trees.
Yeah, it's awesome though. I love it. So you guys have a good weekend. We're going to be doing autograph night at Galesburg Speedway on Saturday night. Maddie will be racing there. Jesse will be racing there, McKenna's boyfriend. And so it's autograph night, which is always a big night. And so that's what we'll be doing this weekend, and hopefully moving some furniture in.
I hope so. And
All right.
Lainey,
We'll talk to you.
Lainey, we'll see you at the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, good night, everybody. Thanks for watching, and feel free to share this, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Have a good night.
All right. Bye.